Hi, in this episode we will continue to look at how this is handled in JavaScript. So let's start with a function where func, okay, I need to disable auto run JS, where func is equal to function. We will use a strict mode and console.log this dot color. Now let's execute the function. So when we execute the function, we get the error, and that error is because this is undefined, so obviously this dot color will not work. So now what we need to do is we need to take control of this. In this case, by default this is undefined, and we need to take control. So one way to take control of is create some kind of object and then do object.func. But in this case the control is very limiting in the sense that it will be depending on the call site. But what if there is a function and we want to control the this at a later stage when we are going to execute the function? So for that, what we want to do is we want to have a variable, let's say car1 I will put, and that is just a standard JavaScript object, and it has color property and it's red. So now what we can do is we can use method apply, and apply is one of those methods which can change this. So by using apply, what we are saying is that when this function is executed, func, then make car1 as the this. So let's try it first. So if we run it with JavaScript, we get the result red. So what happened is that when this function is executed, so this function is getting executed, it needs to look for this. So usually it will look at the call site, and at the call site the value should be undefined, but in this case, since we are using apply, that will be overridden and car1 will be taken as this. So what apply gives us is that it gives us the flexibility at the runtime. We can either pass car1 or we can pass car2 based on certain condition, and then if we pass car2 and if we execute it, then we get the value black. So here what we are doing is that we are taking control of this at the runtime when the function is executed by using the method apply. So now let's go back and look at the original problem. The original problem was, so let me open up that tab, and the original problem was that in this case, when we execute the click me, we get undefined, is not a function. That's because this is not the car that we want, but this is that HTML button. So how can we fix it? So one way to fix that would be will be create var func2, and to the func we can do apply car. This is the solution that we looked at, and we can pass func2 here. So let's try that. If I do click me, then nothing happens, and nothing is happening. That is because when we do func.apply2, let's run with JS. So when we just execute the JavaScript, we are getting the value red, which we should not. We should get red only when we click on it. So the problem here is that when we do func.apply car, by applying, we are actually executing the function, and that's wrong because click is expecting a function which will be executed whenever we click on it. But in this case, by passing func2, what we are passing is not the function but the result of the function. So that's not right. So what do we need to do? So what we need to do is that we need to change something in the func2 in such a way that the function has this hardwired to car. Because right now if you look at this, the way we are handling the problem, it's in a very not a very elegant manner. So for an easy illustration, let's get back to our previous example. So in this example, we created a function func. Fine. So we have the function fine, and function is a first class data in JavaScript. So what it means is that the JavaScript promises that, hey, you can pass the function around easily, just like you can pass a variable around. But we are experiencing a problem here. If function has a first class support, and if you pass the function around, but without passing around the car1 or car2, this function is not going to work. So what we need to do is that we need to keep passing the function, but along with the function we need to pass the object, which will be this. So function without car1 or car2 will not work. So that means if I need to pass function to some method which is further down the road, we need to keep passing along with function car1 or car2. So that's not very promising. So in order to solve that problem, what we need is that we need the function which will self-contain the func, and it will hardwire this to car. Which means that by hardwiring, what I mean is that at that we need to do something so that it will not look at the call site, or we need to do in such a way that it will look at the call site but it should resolve to car. So if we solve the problem in this way, then this func2 we can keep passing any number of methods down the road, and whenever that method is executed, this will be car, and we can be confident of that. So that's what we need to look at in the next episode, and that problem is solved by using bind. That's all for this episode. I will see you next time. Thank you very much.